This is How to Think.
Hey everyone, welcome to How to Think. Today we have Nehemiah Davis on, who is the founder of the Circle of Greatness. He's the author of Step into Greatness, the recipient of the Steve Harvey's Good Neighbor Award, author of 3 books, and you were actually on the Steve Harvey show where you proposed to your wife, and you are the proud owner of an 8-figure company, even coming from modest, if we can say, childhood. Yep. You didn't really have advantages. You didn't have any of that, and you still were able to come in. In fact, from what I'm reading here, you had kind of a challenging life. I mean, your father was in prison for 30 years, died in prison. You were kicked out of a couple
High
private schools.
College, yeah.
I mean, it's not like you had like a good start.
Right.
I appreciate you coming on the show today.
Happy to be here, brother.
To share with us like how you, as you put it before we started, you created something out of nothing.
Literally.
So thanks for coming on, man.
Happy to be here, bro. Yeah.
Awesome. So tell me about this. Your father was in prison for what, 30 years?
Since I was 2, he committed murder. Well, allegedly. He said he didn't do it, but that's what they put him in, life in prison for that.
Wow. And so growing up, I imagine that was not the healthiest, most supportive environment. You're raised by your mother?
Yeah, I was raised by my mom and grandma, but they did such a good job at raising me, meaning based on what they know and what they had, they did a phenomenal job. I never felt like I missed the father because they just did a great job, like showing me different things. Now, again, they couldn't teach me about finances. They couldn't teach me about how to own businesses. They didn't teach me anything about those things, but just giving me the proper upbringing. My mom trying her best, yes. Mm-hmm. But for the black household, we used to being fatherless households. It's not nothing new. We're used to, I don't want to say dysfunction because every family isn't dysfunction, but a lot of times we didn't grow up with father. A huge amount of households are fatherless, right? Especially mine and all my friends. So,
and did you grow up? You grew up in Philadelphia.
Yeah, West Philadelphia. Born and raised.
Yeah, I know the song. Yeah. So was this? Did you grow up in like a lower middle class, poor?
I grew up in the hood. So I grew up literally in the hood, drug infested neighborhood. Outside, they prostitutes around the corner selling drugs. My inspiration was to be a drug dealer. Because when I used to go on the courts, play ball, I just watched them hustle coke all day. I'm like, man, they had cars, they had money, they got all the, I thought success was clothes, clothes, jewelry, cars, because that's what I saw. And I thought that was my life until my mom got married. She moved to a different, better neighborhood in West Philadelphia, which was a more affluent neighborhood. And at the time, it's so funny, affluent, that house was $65,000. That was how much the house was.
You had a Fresh Prince.
Yeah, Fresh Prince. So I'm living large. But where it really changed my life, did a 180. I always talk about 360 mean you turn into the same spot. Yeah. But I went to a private school where it was only 30 African Americans out of 1,000 people. And I used to see everybody go to school. They were driving to school. Their parents own hospitals. They own all type of stuff. So my favorite quote, once your mind is expanded to a new concept or idea, it's hard to go back to its original way of thinking. So I saw all these rich kids.
Who said that?
Oliver Wendell Holmes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I saw these rich, I love that quote. I saw all these rich kids and I can have that lifestyle. Although I was still being a knucklehead. In that moment, in 9th grade, a seed was planted that I could actually become more. That was the first year in my life where I was like, wait, it's a total different world than the one I've been living in up to this point.
Wow. So now you were working at a private airport at one point.
Yeah.
And
my last job.
So that's your last job?
My very last job. So my 10th job.
So you saw the private planes and the millionaires and probably even the billionaires coming in and out. How did that affect you?
Bro, that was phase 2. I had 2 turning points. Number 1, being able to go to that school, and number 2, working at the private airport. Mind you, I had 9 jobs that I got fired from. That was my 10th and final job. Every single day, I would see millionaires and billionaires. Every day. I've been on Trump's plane. I got on this dude plane. He got a 200 passenger plane converted to a house. It's like a 737. Get on the plane, pilot, take your shoes off. Walking around, white carpet everywhere, gold sinks, gold toilets. Like, this is an aircraft. TVs. I've been on the owner of the Cowboys plane. Bill Gates got off a plane. Oprah. I've seen it all. And I was the poop boy. I would go on the planes and remove the mess off of the planes. Like, that was my job.
Damn.
But what it did was it showed me, like, Nehemiah, you now could be a millionaire. You now could fly private. Like, I didn't know that world exists. You and I talk sometimes about private jets and stuff. Like,
yeah. You fly private a lot now.
I fly private all the time.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but occasionally. So the funny thing is, I told my boss, bro, I'm going to fly in this job when I get fired. I mean, I'm going to fly in this job someday. Took me 9 years to do it, but eventually I started flying out of that place that I got fired from all the time. But it started with that idea. I had a seed planted, and I've just been a full-time entrepreneur the last 14 years. I just find a way to make it work every time.
Dude, that's awesome. That's so let me ask you this. Like, there may be somebody listening to this right now who, you know, maybe they don't live in the slums, right?
Yeah,
maybe they're not, or maybe they do, but maybe they're like middle class, lower middle class. But they're just not happy with where they're at, wherever they are in the spectrum. Yeah. They're just not happy with where they're at, and thought of, you know, flying on a private jet. I mean, we've talked before. You're always, I mean, you say you don't fly on private a lot, but dude, every time I talk to you, you're like, I'm on a jet, you know? Right. And so, like, the thought of building a business or getting to the point where you could just do stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, you got what? Like, you got a blue Lamborghini, right?
I got a Lamborghini truck and a car, black, both black.
I got over the Lamborghini thing personally.
I know you did.
I was
had
like,
it years ago.
I know. I was like, this is.
I enjoy cars,
but whatever.
Now,
but the point is, that to go from where you were, where you literally had prostitutes dealing drugs outside of your door, to flying private whenever you want with your wife and your kid. Like, what would you tell somebody who is sitting here right now hearing this, who is in that position, or maybe they're just like lower middle class or whatever, and they work at frickin' McDonald's or whatever it is. What would you tell that person about believing that is possible?
First, I'm gonna tell them there's another way. Like, the thing is, you need to find somebody that went before you. When I saw you get a 10X award, I'm like, I can get one. I seen somebody that you also didn't come from. I don't believe you came from riches. I don't know.
No, I mean, lower middle class.
Right, but you self-made.
Yeah.
Like,
delivered pizza for 7 years, man. Like, that wasn't like a high school thing. That was 7 years of my life. That was a chunk.
Right, and I'm sure you probably saw something that made a change. So for me, I'm telling people, go online, find somebody, Google successful from my city. Like, find somebody that was once in your predicament. And if you see that they can do it, now you know it's possible. I know it sounds a little cliche, but for me, I find somebody who did what I did before, and I find out how they did it, and I go see if I can replicate it or create some sort of way to do the exact same thing. So I would say, stay encouraged. I always tell people, your current situation is not your final destination. Where you are is not where you always be. You got to make up in your mind that success should be your only option. You got to find another way to do it outside of what you've been doing, because what you've been doing have gotten you thus far. So start exploring other options, investing, crypto. We sitting here talking about, crypto game. It's just so many new ways to make money. My biggest thing, Dan, I always ask, I'm like, what if I would have got into crypto 5 years? Like, start finding out what is that next thing. And I don't know what that is right now. I know we're in the NFT space, we're in the crypto gaming, but find out what that thing is and learn as much as you can and apply that information, and you could put yourself in a better position in a year or two.
So if I'm hearing this right, and I was going to repeat it back to you, I'd say that the first step is to actually believe it's possible.
Facts.
And maybe you do that by finding somebody, maybe even geographically near you, or just near you in terms of where you're at in the journey, who actually did make it, so that you actually have the belief it can happen. Because if you don't have the belief that it can happen, you're not going to go out and learn the things you need to do. You're not going to go out and spend hours researching, reading books, listening to whatever podcast. You're not going to do that. Like, you're going to go out and you're going to have fun. You're going to hang out with your friends. You're going to go play whatever. Like, for me, when I was younger, I played a lot of pool. So I'd go out for hours and I'd play pool just because that was taking up my time, but I could have been reading books. I could have been doing all that. And then when I realized it was actually possible, and it was a real thing that was reachable, that's what motivated me to go out and actually read the books and actually do that. And then, you know, if you were to ask me when I was on my 7th year of delivering pizza, when I was, you know, putting up, clocking in, and I smelled like grease.
And I know it was 7 years. Like, I kind of thought that was just a part of,
nah, dude, that was like my career, dude.
That's crazy.
I was like, one day I'll be like a manager of the store.
What did you see? What did you see that was like, what was that thing for you?
You know, you would think that I'd be able to come up with some soundbite that, oh, it was this moment, but it was honestly a collection of moments throughout my life that one day they all came glued together at once. I remember one time, so when I actually got out of pizza, I started doing my own thing. I was actually a carny for a while. I would travel with carnivals and I would do like airbrush tattoos for kids.
Got it.
And I had cotton candy and all this. And I one time was at this family's, I got hired to do a private birthday party at this very wealthy family's home. Yep. And I'm sitting there and I'm setting up my little cart with the airbrush tattoos and all my stencils for the kids, you know, because they want the different tattoos. And I'm looking around, and this was a child's birthday party. When I grew up, if you had a child's birthday party for like a 10-year-old, maybe you hired a clown, but you know, some parents brought over some dishes, that was it. They had literally this catering and entertainment company come in and set up all this stuff. They had like servants coming in and out. It was like insane, you know? And I was like, this is just a kid's birthday party. Like, what are y'all doing? It's not like he didn't graduate Harvard and be the first man on the frickin' Mars and stuff, you know? So I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and one of the parents come up to me and they're like, hey, do you have everything you need and all this? And I'm looking around at all these nice things, and I'm like, yeah, no, I really do. I said, you know, you have a great home, and this is and this was the first time I'd ever, you gotta understand, this is the first time I've ever been in a rich person's home, ever.
Expanded your mind.
Like, up until that point, I'd only seen it on TV. Oh, there's rich people. It was almost like this thing, like you see space, you see the moon, and you're like, I know that the moon exists because I see it on TV. I can see it outside, but I've never been on the moon. And if you actually stood on the moon, you'd be like, holy crap, there really is a moon here. Like, I feel like this is like a new level of awareness, you know? So when that first time I was in a rich person's home, it made me think like this, that was like the first step. It made me think like, this is possible for somebody. It's not just something I see in the movies. And so I just got really inspired, and I looked at their bookshelf, and I noticed that their bookshelf had a bunch of books. And as I did other parties and as I like got into other situations, I noticed like all the same books. I just noticed patterns. People that were wealthy and successful, they talked a certain way, they asked certain questions, they lived a certain, and I just started.
What's one of the books you remember on them shelves?
There was books like, you know, Made in America by Sam Walton.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
That one,
favorite, but the top one.
There was that one. There was, you know, Principles by Ray Dalio. There was and at the time, I honestly would just look at the cover, and I'd recognize, I'd recognize the cover, and I just thought to myself, well, if there's a pattern to success, and I'm seeing the pattern, maybe I don't fully understand the pattern, but if I go figure it out and I can get into that pattern, maybe I can be more successful. So that was the first step for me to just try, because most people just don't even try. They're just like, oh, you know, rich people. But if you actually try, you know, you'd be surprised if you can pick up a book and learn more in that one book by that millionaire or billionaire that you would in your entire high school or sometimes even college education. And that's it's a hard thing to say, because we like to defend the education system in America, but in reality, it kind of sucks. I mean, it doesn't teach you to be rich, because if everybody was rich, the economy would collapse. So why would our system education teach you to be rich? Why would it teach you to be successful? It wouldn't. It teaches you to fall in line.
Crazy.
You know,
it's so funny. I was having a conversation with somebody. I'm like, there's 2 layers of financial literacy. You got the one layer of learning about credit, now it's a whole nother layer. You got to learn about crypto, NFTs, crypto. It's like a whole nother, it's like, as soon as you get that, it's time to learn. Like, now I'm learning an hour a day on crypto NFTs. I'm trying to study because I don't want to get left. And that's what happens is we get left, because we're never told in schools, the entire lifespan of schools, we still don't know how to buy a house. We don't know what the 5 factors of a credit score. It don't make financial
You don't even know how
sense.
to change, to fill up your air pressure tire. Like, you know,
Right.
I mean, they don't teach you nothing. They don't teach you how to balance your checkbook. They don't teach you what a P&L is.
Yeah, we know Christopher Columbus though. We know a lot of things.
Which,
that just doesn't matter.
What they teach you things, and they're like, they teach you the storybook.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Christopher Columbus thing, like, we could go on about that, and like,
Right.
nobody mentions, you know, the fact that there were a lot of people here before them, you know, but
Storybook stuff.
Yeah, you know, make it feel good. It's like that's like Dr. Seuss,
Yeah,
you know. And again, if you think about it, you're in marketing. I'm in marketing. It's all marketing.
Yeah,
I mean, if you create a culture where you make parents feel bad for not challenging the education system, then they feel bad. Then they send their kids to school and they create these little mindless drones that just sort of go with whatever the people who are influencing the education system deem right.
Yep.
Did I tell you about, there's this place in St. Pete called the library?
No.
So they have these books that were printed in like 1905 and stuff, like not reprints, like original prints.
Yep.
If you pick up those books and you read them, and you read the same stories about history, Civil War, the Wall Street crash, like all the things throughout history, and you read those original books, you will find that the language, the tone, and what actually happened is very, very different than what people say and what people tell you today, because they want you to get angry about things that never happened or really weren't the way they were. Right. And again, it's marketing. Like, you know, the whole thing is meant to get you in the system. And when you're an entrepreneur, you're the type of person, like, I believe a successful mindset is the most rebellious mindset. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot be successful without being a rebel, because if you conform, you're falling in line with the masses, and the masses are not built for success.
Yeah. You know, Walt Disney, his quote is, observe what the masses do and do the opposite.
Yeah. I mean, there you go.
Yeah,
you know,
crazy.
I mean, that's why for me, I thought, like, what if we just took all the people who were the best mentors in the world, and we started studying their actual advice and put their actual advice into practice. And that's how I started trying to, like, live my life. Like, well, these people already figured it out. So instead of just reading the quotes by these people, let me, like, dive into this and really think about it and really apply. That's one of the reasons I started How to Think. Like, imagine, like, if you had all those mentors, but you could, like, break down what they meant by that and how to apply it. And that's, again, one of the reasons we started that app. But, you know, I think that a lot of people have to get their mind right before they get their checkbook right.
But here's the thing, you know the problem though, Dad? We talk about mindset in the world we in, and it's fluff. Yeah. Like, soon as you start talking about mind, get to the topic. I'm like, let me ask you a question. If you started that business and you've been stopping and starting, you think that's a mindset problem or a skill set problem? Right. It's a mindset problem. So we never build a foundation right. It doesn't matter what business you start. You're never going to be successful because you don't even have a determined mind. You don't even have a committed mind. So, like, I love the topic of mindset, but it's not sexy or cool. But this is huge amount of success is your mind. It's your mentality on making your mind up on, I'm going to make this thing work.
Well, you know, I think the easiest way to find out if somebody needs mindset work is if they say they don't need mindset work. Right. That means you need the most of anyone. Yeah. I mean, think about all the greats. Think about Tom Brady. You know, like who's the greatest football quarterback, right? Like probably Tom Brady. Yeah. At this point, there's no argument. You know, facts. Who's the greatest golfer?
Tiger Woods.
Okay, who's the greatest basketball player?
They will argue between MJ and LeBron.
Okay, who's the greatest female entrepreneur?
I don't know that.
Probably Oprah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but we can go on and on with this. Go look up every single time someone asks any of those people what the secret to success is, they all say the same thing. Yep. They all say one phrase, literally word for word. They say the game is 90% mental. Yep. Right? Basketball is 90% mental. Golf is 90% mental. So when you say, oh, mindset's BS, let's just get to the topic, you're basically saying that you're taking all the people that have achieved the most in this world at the top of every game. You take all the games, you put them together in this arena, hey, football, business, this, and you're saying all the top people, the greatest of all time in every single solitary game, all says the same thing, and you know better.
Right.
it's crap.
Yeah,
you know.
that's facts.
So let me ask you this. Let's talk a little bit about, because we talked about that you have an 8-figure business,
Yep.
and you teach people how to start a business in the thing that you are an expert in, and that is this and I want to hear more about this event space rental thing.
Yeah.
Like, let's dive into this. Like, so, and we've talked about this before. Let me see if I have the gist right.
Got it.
All right. So you go and you rent a retail space, right?
Yep.
Or some sort of commercial space.
Yep.
And instead of putting a business in there, I mean, you are putting a business in there, but instead of like putting your own business in there,
Yep.
you make it look nice and you create an event space.
Exactly.
And then you have people run it out for events, weddings, maybe,
Book signings,
seminars,
workshops, repasses. The list goes. Anything you can think of event-wise, you do at your location.
So a lot of people have taken the approach to real estate to up
Yep.
their game by, instead of saying, let me buy this property and rent it out at a year lease,
Yep.
they've upped it to, let me buy this property and rent it out nightly
Yep.
on like Airbnb or something,
Yep.
and go from this much revenue, this much profit, to this much with the same property. Meaning you can pay, because the market's going up.
Yep.
And they always say, like, the person in our world, in business, they say the person who can pay the most for a customer wins.
Yep.
So it's almost like the person that can pay the most for a property wins,
Yep.
because they're upping the game on how they make money from it. Would you say this is sort of similar, but in the world of commercial, where you're renting a space,
Yep.
and instead of putting an ice cream shop in there and making a little bit of money, you're doing an event and you're making a lot more money? Would you say it's similar?
Yeah, I would say it's similar, and it's just, I mean, think about the ice cream shop. Well, you probably can make good money, but you need heavy staff. You're working there 12, 13 hours a day. How we do the find, fun, automate. So when you find your space, your very next thing, of course, is marketing. Get it all set up. And we do something called the MVP process, which is minimum viable product. You literally need an open space. Like, just I'm wearing your studio. You don't need anything else in here to have event space. You got a kitchenette. We got music. That's all you need, right? And literally, you're renting this location right here out for 4 hours for $700.
Really?
You're going to do that on Friday. You're going to do that twice on Saturday. And you're going to do it twice on Sunday, right? So the 7, 14, 20, that's $3,500 in a weekend. You do that over 4 weeks. What's that? That's $14,000 that you could potentially make on something that costs you $3,000 to $4,000 a month, all in. That's paying your one employee. That's paying your one VA. Versus, just hypothetically, say you run an ice cream shop, you may make $15,000, $20,000 in a month, but at 20% margin. So you may walk away with a couple thousand versus $5,000 to $10,000 extra. So the idea is that you run this over and over again. One of my strategies that I teach my students is we get a church in there on Sundays that take our dead space. So churches right now, they don't want to just go open up a huge church. They don't have the capital. It just don't make financial sense right now, especially for them to use the location for a Wednesday Bible study and the Sunday event. So what they're doing is they're looking to go in spaces and just rent. So what we do, we charge churches $1,000 to $1,500 just to use our space on Sundays. What are you doing Sunday morning from 9 to 12 anyway? Sleeping. You're not doing anything. So we're charging churches our dead time. So you're getting $1,000 from them. So they're paying 30 to 50% of your overhead. And then we had one other event, which is a small business event, where we get 10 different small business owners in there, like a pop-up shop. They all put a table in there with their merchandise on it. They all pay $100 to $150. So you're making $1,000 to $1,500 once a month from them. And now you have 2 events that pay your entire overhead, and everybody else get in your location using a lockbox. They set up their own event and they break their own event down. And it's almost automated outside of you having the cleaning business, having the cleaner. Now it is, some people still like, I really want to be hands-on, but we just let go of the hands-on approach.
So do you mind if I kind of dive into this a little bit, maybe even try to poke some holes, and you tell me, because I really want to understand it. I'm a curious guy. So let's just say, I'm going to give you a scenario, right? Let's say I I go and I rent a space here in downtown St. Petersburg, or let's say I buy a commercial building. Because one thing I want to note is, let's say you're already doing well and you need the tax deduction, you need that depreciation real estate. you can buy a piece of real estate, get that depreciation. Again, not tax advice, but I've heard people do this. Yeah. But you get the depreciation, and instead of just owning it and renting it to because like for instance, as an investor, my thing is if I buy a property and I want the passive income and I want the depreciation for tax purposes, I don't want another business. Right. So like I've looked for some properties before where I find a hotel and they're like, oh, this hotel. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to manage a hotel. I don't want another business. So my question to you is, and I imagine people who don't even need a tax deduction, they want passive income. They'd still have this question. How is this different than running a business? I know it's running a business, but how do you approach this in a way where, where it's as passive as possible? Because I imagine that you still have to market it. Yep. You still have to have somebody meet them there. Yep. You still have somebody collect payment, make sure it's cleaned up. Like there's some things, it's obviously way less than owning an actual business where you sell a product.
Absolutely.
Way less, I get that. But at where are we at in the passive approach here, and what makes it as passive as possible?
Yeah, so it's funny, my buddy Pocky says, what'd he say? The road to passive is not passive.
Right.
So you do have to do some work in the front end. Yeah. So I'm telling people, like, when you get started, you're going to work that business for 3 to 4 months yourself. But what we do, we have one virtual assistant. They do the advertising. They can run ads on Google. They do all the bookings. They do all the contracts. They take all the phone calls. Somebody in Philippines, they take all the phone calls. They do everything.
Can I ask you a hard question? Yeah. Probably a question that's going to make me unpopular in this world that we have now, where everybody's hypersensitive about everything. Yeah. I'm just going to be real with you. I've hired VAs before in the Philippines and whatnot, and sometimes for certain jobs they work out. But a lot of times they don't, and it's simply because, and I don't care to offend anybody, they just don't speak the language nor the culture. Right. I remember one time I had a VA who was doing some bookkeeping work, and they asked, what is this Starbucks charge? What is that? They didn't know what Starbucks was. Right. So and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, dude, if I lived in another country, if I were to go to like Turkey or something and I saw some stuff, I had no idea what it was. I'm not expected to know what it is. Yeah. So my question to you on this, not to like derail your explanation, but I'm going to ask the hard question, how do you trust someone who doesn't know our culture, meaning American, event, because it's an event space, right? There's certain type of events that we have here that maybe other cultures aren't used to, or it's different. Somebody who English is not a first language. They don't really know our culture as well as we do. And they're dealing with people who, and Americans, we like people that speak English. Right. And not because maybe some people are prejudiced, but more just the ease of doing business. Right. And understanding. And so how do you manage that where they don't mess up your business? Because if you think about it, if you call 2 different companies and one company has somebody who cannot communicate as well as the other, and the other one's like, hey, how you doing? Hey, what a Bucks game? How do you manage the difference between that, where that doesn't become an issue with your business, where it still is executed and the customer still feels valued, like you didn't just sub somebody out, So
one of the things is, one, you want to get somebody, and again, your assistant don't got to be from Philippines. You can use stateside. You can use Costa Rica.
Yeah. Is it really just finding a good one? That's really the answer?
I was going to say, one, you need to get them a SOP. They need to have a SOP.
Standard operating procedure.
They need to do some trainings. They need to be listening to your calls and then practicing on their calls. And ideally, you also want to find somebody that got good English. So I don't hire a virtual assistant. Like one of my main virtual assistants, I'm talking about, she gets paid, bro, $3,000 a month. Like she's my people.
Yeah, because most people, when they think of VAs, they think of like $5 an hour, $3
for sure. Yeah, that's what it really is, But you're still paying them fair, because based on, for them to eat for a month, one of my team members said it's like $50. They just get a bag of rice or something. But mine, she just bought a car, bro, added an addition to her house. She's making $40,000 a year.
So what do you pay these VAs?
So generally
per hour, is it like a $5-6 an hour? Yeah. Really? Okay.
It depends. I mean, it goes from, you go on onlinejobs.pa, it goes from $2 an hour to $20. It depends on their skill set and what they want. But
I'm saying for a good one that can communicate, that can speak good English,
like $5 an hour.
Really?
I mean, people do it for less.
Jeez, you can't even get somebody to flip burgers for $5 an hour.
But you know why? Here's the thing about the reason why I personally like VA, and I hope I can't get in trouble for saying this, but I'm just saying the reason why
don't even worry about it. People are going to be offended. They're going to find a way to be offended. Just say what you got to say.
But the reason why I have a team of VAs in Philippines, I got a team in America. I got we're equal opportunity employer, right?
Yeah.
But bro, they work diligent. They don't make excuses. Like they just do work, bro. Like my team, bro. I can tell you, my main VA who gets $3,000 a month in the last 5 years working with me, I can count on one hand how many excuses she gave me and how many times she called out in the last 5 years, bro. She just find a way. And that's in America, the excuses. Yeah,
that's a hard. They got options. That's the thing, though. That's a hard pill for American workers to swallow. Yeah. Because if you think about, like, I've done that too. I've worked with, especially like software developers, like a Ukrainian software developer. If they mess something up, they'll fix it and they won't charge you. An American will be like, oh, well, I got to go here. I'm going to have to charge you to fix it. But, I'm watching the football game. Yep. Like, I mean, that's the reality of it. Bro,
that's why I really enjoy the team that I have, that because they don't make excuses, bro. And they're willing to figure. Now, any employee that you know that no matter what, when you bring on, they need training. So you train them up over that month or two, but they take full responsibility. Like, I barely talk to my VA who runs the event space stuff. Like, she handles it. I got a manager, talks to them, and I'm out.
Now, we need to preface this saying this is like, on both ends, this is the majority of cases, or like the lion's share. Not everybody, because you're gonna.
You'll find bad ones too.
Yeah. Sure, I mean, I have people that work for me both. I've hired VAs that were terrible, and I've hired people here, regular Americans that were the best people ever, but we're starting to live in more of a global world now where, it's, you're getting a lot more people from the entire world working together, which I think is a great thing. I'm just pointing out, like, if I was an entrepreneur, which I am, but I'm saying if I was listening to this, an entrepreneur, even though I might be too scared to say it because people are all like, butthurt about everything these days, that's still what I'd be thinking. So I just wanted to ask that to make sure that I covered those people who were too scared to actually ask it.
Yeah, no. I think, man, and here's the other cool thing when you are providing work for people outside, that you helping them feed their family.
Yeah, that's true.
That's another good, and I want to make clear, sometimes you're paying a fair wage based on their economy as well. So if you are giving I know VAs that get $2 an hour. I don't pay anybody, but I know some that get $8 an hour. Yeah. It's like,
I've paid some at $20 an hour.
That's what I'm saying. So they're eating well for their economy when their living costs may be $1,000 a month for everything. And if they're making $4,000 or $5,000,
and in many cases, not all cases, but they work harder. Okay, well, I don't want to keep jamming on that. So you get the VA, but I understand that for basic marketing. I understand that for talking to people, taking phone calls. I get that, but there's who somebody's got to meet them there. Somebody's got to clean the place.
So one, initially when you're starting, that's you, meaning that is you, because you got to know how this business is ran. But ideally, you get a manager or event person in place for anywhere from $10 to $20 an hour. And this one individual, ideally, I tell people to find somebody anywhere from 18 to 21, just getting out of school, could work part-time, someone who looking to make extra money.
Maybe
on
they
the weekends.
Don't have to take care of a household.
Don't got to take care of a household.
Yeah.
But, paying them upwards to $20, $25, you can make something happen with that. I'm not telling you getting rich, but.
So you got a VA. You got a person that meets them there that actually handles.
That one person, you could get them to do multiple things. So that one person acts as the manager or a person who's running it. They're meeting the clients there. That same person is also doing on-site contracts with a person. They're doing open houses. So what we do, the same individual who work our open houses also works our events. So open houses are just say Tuesday and Thursdays from 6 to 8. You are just there. You can come through, check out the location, versus me, Dan, can you meet me at the spot right now for your appointment? And then you don't show up. We do Tuesday and Thursdays. You can come here and meet us. We're there from 6 to 8 p.m.
Why don't you just hire somebody if they're going to be there 8 hours a day, like a full time, why don't you just have them do everything? Why do you need a VA? That's
what I'm saying. But they're not there 8 hours a day. That's something. They're like 15 hours a week because we're not doing. You're generally not doing a lot Monday through Friday.
Oh, I see.
It's really a weekend gig essentially.
Okay.
So Tuesdays and Thursdays are open house. You still can have events on Thursday, but Friday that same individual may be setting. Yeah, that same individual, they're helping break down the event. They're like the transition person for the next event. They're cleaning up. They're sweeping. They're mopping. They're getting it right.
What level do you have to actually, like, is it more self-serve or like what level do you have to get involved?
Bro, it's self-serve, bro. Because in our contracts, what it used to be, I was setting you up. I was breaking you down. The contract says you set up the event. Tables are in that closet. Chairs are in this closet. You got to return, and based on the contract, you must return the venue back the same way we gave to you. So guess what the employee got to do? And just go do a light sweep and a mop, wipe off the walls, restock the bathroom, 30 to 45-minute transition, next event. Do that same thing again. Once or twice a month, have a cleaning company come do a deep clean for a few $100. But you are basically doing that yourself. So it's really a 3-person team or 2 max. So you got your VA, you got that on-site person, and if they had a manager. My mom is in Philly, so she happens to be the manager. But we have other people that work the locations.
So let me just ask this. I'm running through, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm running through all the possible scenarios in my head. So let me ask this. So you probably aren't doing things like weddings.
Yeah, I'm not doing no. We can do weddings.
These are like niche sort of
baby showers in and out, book signings in and out, seminars in and out, pop-up shops in and out. If you're doing a wedding, remember they have an event planner. You could do this 2 ways where you can provide all of that. I do the hands-off way.
Right.
We're not your event planner.
Do you stick with one specific? Because I would imagine that you would stick with one, like almost assembly line type of event so that everything is the same. Because you may need different supplies or tables or what for different types of events.
Yeah,
so do you like, okay, so when you pick a space, you might say this space is for X, meaning book signings, or this space is for seminars. And you just... let's say it's for seminars. You could provide a very basic PA, leave it set up.
That's it. That's what you provide anyway. I teach you that. So you get a surround sound system, you get a projector. Your MVP package includes surround sound system, a projector, a mic, right? A TV hanging on a wall, your chairs. That's it. Same setup. We set the 50 chairs up. You can go ahead and look at the screen. The person could talk up front. Baby shower, we line 2 tables down the center, Last Supper style. But ideally, they set it up however they want because that's in the contract. So we used to do that ourselves. We removed ourselves. You set it up yourself. You break it down yourself. I want to do less work and make more money.
Got it. So this is great stuff. So for instance, for me, like let's say I moved out of my rental here because I'm in downtown. We're in the nicest building in downtown. Let's say I bought a place that I could do the same setup, but it was like also like a seminar room, and I rented it out, and I used it when I needed to use it. Like I don't know if like it would be. I probably wouldn't get involved in something like come record your podcast or whatever. That's too much of a business. But like let's say it was just seminar, right? How important, because I'm in the thick of downtown, right? If I were to buy something here, dude, it would be insanely expensive. Rental even, I mean, this small teeny space here is like $6,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm in downtown, you know?
But I don't recommend you go downtown.
Right, but that's what I'm asking, like how important is location in this, and does it matter with the type of events you're doing? I imagine it wouldn't matter with like baby showers, but for seminars, like I would think it would have to be near airports.
Seminars are, we're running micro event spaces. I'm not telling you to go get.
Oh, I like that micro. Yeah,
you're not going to get the Wyndham. We're looking for locations that are 1,000 to 3,000 square feet that could put 50 to 100 people in there. Because that's on average how many people. We're not doing a ClickFunnels conference. You need, We talking about $1 million production. We talking about a small. Like we run our mastermind, super small niche, 50 people in a room, set up tables and chairs, mic, run it. Like
Got
it's
it.
more simple. If you any other way, now you talking about a production.
What's the most profitable type of event that you could run with this method if you had to choose?
I mean, our number one event is a baby shower. So that's like
Really?
our number. Yeah, like people having babies left and right. So that's our number one event.
And now is that now let me I'm gonna fire match you.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that the baby shower thing is volume. Because I can't imagine, dude, you can go to, it's cheap to have a baby shower, right? Like my sister had a baby shower. She did it at a community center. It costs almost nothing.
Yep.
So like my question to you is, for something like that, what are they paying for that? And is that a volume play?
Yeah. So for a baby shower, for my size, is all based on your base is $700 to $1,000. That's how much we rent the location.
For a baby shower?
Yeah.
One day?
Yeah, 6 hours. 4 hour event time, hour setup, hour breakdown.
Got it. Okay.
So that's base. That's what we're getting paid. My strategy is to do one event on Friday, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. So we're running it like a machine. 12 to 4 is one event. We got another event, 7 to 11.
So that's 20 events a month.
20 events a month.
And that's $1,000 per baby shower.
$1,000, 700 to it. And that's if you run it like I'm running it. We ain't talking about what if you're providing all the decorations for them. But now that's when we go on business now.
Yeah. Got it.
I don't want to go I want to just give you my location. You go set it up. You break it down. And I'm just making money and you're using the space.
So I'm going to bust out my calculator.
Yeah, you go.
So if you were to do...
Dan's he might go do this.
Well, you know me, man. But see, I got to have...
I want you to stay focused.
Brandon is in the back right now going, no! He's like, don't do it. Are you sweating back there, Brandon?
No, this is actually interesting for like I was wondering if like for a gym space, you know?
Uh-oh. Now I don't have anybody to discourage me. Now we got problems. Yeah. All right. So hold on. So let's say I get this space, right? Because my thing is, I'm going to be honest with you, for me personally, for most people listening, they probably care about the income. For me, I'm just like, I need to buy something. I need depreciation and I don't want it to cost me money. And if it can be lucrative, great. Yeah. So that's where my mind's at.
So I recommend for you, bro, I would be doing a commercial building.
All right.
Triplex, commercial downstairs, or a 10 unit. I know you had a big unit, like a 10 unit, or you had something I saw you put on the internet a couple years ago, but got commercial downstairs. Instead of you renting the commercial downstairs out to another entity, you run the event space play.
See, I thought about...
that's what I would do.
Maybe this would be stupid, but because I love where I live. I love downtown.
Yep.
I was thinking like, what if... Like you ever seen these warehouses? They're in warehouse districts, but they can get converted to like all kinds of stuff.
20, 30 different suites essentially.
Yeah,
you can do that too.
So but just let's stick with the baby shower thing, right? Let's say that you had 20 events that you could run, but let's say you're at 70% success rate, meaning 70% booking rate.
Yep.
So you times that by 0.7, that's 14 events. Let's just say $700 per baby shower to be super conservative. Times 700, that's $9,800 a month.
Yep.
What do you think staff cost would be? And I'm obviously it's going to be more because I'm like 700 per when it's probably be more, you know.
Let's just say staff costs, because we run micro events. We're looking at, you could do one staff per event. So just call it $200 a day, $250 a day. Just call it $250.
So
a day.
14 times
and that's
250.
running 2 events.
So that's 3,500. So where was
so
I?
that's 250 times 14. That's
so 9,800 minus 3,500. So now we're at 6,300 profit.
You still got your rent.
Yeah, right.
So when you said 3,500, that was 250 times
14.
Okay, and those numbers are a lot higher. Like I don't pay
because
250 in a day.
Right, and I also I'm just being conservative.
Yeah.
I also said every event was 700, not 1,000.
Yeah.
So like I'm lowballing like crazy.
It's 700 based on where I am at. If I'm paying 6,000 for the space, the event's starting at $1,000.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So so now we left with 6,300. What do you think the rent would be on that place?
The rent on that,
where you're getting $700 per baby shower.
Oh, the rent and the overhead. So just so you know, just the same bills you pay for your house, that's for your event space. You're paying gas, electric, water, Wi-Fi, and $1 million insurance policy.
So let's just say like
$2,500.
Okay,
call it $3,000.
So minus 3,000. So basically that's 30. So you rent a space, and that's this is worst case scenario based on your numbers, 70% booking rate, which is that low? Do you normally get more?
No, that's fair.
That's fair?
14
Okay.
events
So
a month is fair.
But so 14 events a month, the lowest possible, which a lot of people will buy the 1,000, and you're still making $3,300 a month, completely passive.
Yep.
And you're not really doing much. And that's just a space. Like, so if you were to do 5 of those, right? That's like 16 grand a month. And again, this is probably a lot more.
You almost could just double what you're doing in that one space. You're just working a little harder, but
okay. So like, so basically, like that was the $6,300 is like, $3,300 a month was literally the worst case scenario. Like if everything went wrong,
and that's passive. That's
passive.
And then you still got your second floor paying, your third floor, your fourth. You're just making extra, or you could just rent your downstairs to somebody else for $2,000 and do nothing. Right. But I believe you could get that number higher than $3,300.
Yeah, that was just because if you were to actually go with a good month, where you got 1,000. I mean, now that 1,400 number times 1,000. 14 times 1,000 is 14,000.
Yep.
That's
minus your $3,000, minus $6,000,
minus
basically.
Yeah, so now we're at 8,000 a month. So like the difference between you getting a full rent and you getting So my question to you is, and you teach people,
everybody who's event space, bro, they're not marketers, so they're not like, we don't even push heavy Google ads like we can.
Yeah,
like people not even pushing ads.
So what? So we just saw the difference between 700 and 1,000 and all this stuff. I mean, what do you think is the best way to optimize that to make it as high as possible? Meaning, like, is baby showers the best way, or is it seminars, or like, what do you think the optimal way to get the most out of that would be? I mean,
to get the most is you're going to just do add-ons. Like, hey, you need an extra hour, you're going to charge for that. Hey, you need chair rentals, you're going to charge for that. So we're going to
this one thing could go from.
That's just them getting their room from you, bro. That's it.
So
in the chairs.
So that $3,300 a month profit that we just talked about, that's like unrealistically conservative. If you start doing the add-ons and optimization, now we're talking about 10 grand a month for just one location.
Bro, I can't dispose the exact client in anything because they said we signed a contract. But I got one person, one company using the space on our dead hour, Monday through Friday. They're giving us 11 grand a month, bro.
Wow.
And they set everything up. They break everything down themselves, all of that, and we still use it on the weekends for our events. So I'm saying, what if and this is our smaller space, what if during the weekend we do another 2,500? That's 10 grand a month extra plus their 10. That's 20. My overhead on that space, call it 4 with the staff.
Yeah,
I live in Atlanta. That space is in Philly. I don't even go to my spaces.
What do you think the biggest challenge to marketing is, or is this? I mean, I imagine
for you, it is no challenge.
Well, not for me. For the normal average person.
It's not even a challenge. It's just get some Google ads up, get some good reviews. The thing about having an event space oftentimes is there a lot of self-marketing and repeat customers and a lot of word of mouth marketing with these things. So when people come back and use the space, it's because somebody referred them.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen stuff like this, not this specifically, but I've seen you post on Craigslist or Facebook and it blows up.
Yeah, we still recommend Craigslist, Facebook.
We ain't even talking about paid ads. I don't even
Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, all these different booking sites, Peerspace, Gigster. You could go put your space on 30 spaces right now.
So this is like
rent for you.
I know this because I've been through this. I've been through similar types of businesses and whatnot, and because I did like the events with the airbrush. Dude, I mean, this is like almost, you could run this as a zero marketing cost business because I never had paid 100%. Ads for when I did the birthday parties, dude. I just posted on like all these sites you're talking about. And people would just reach out to me. I didn't do no paid ads.
You don't. Bro, this is a good business for somebody looking to generate $5,000 to $15,000 a month profit. And get out of their job. They could be free from a job that you hate. Like this is my first money I made when I started this, where I'm like, wait, you tell me I just made $700. I didn't have to work. I just opened the door for them. And this when I used to set up your tables and chairs and help you out with trash. Like this when I was more, but But I'm like, wait, $700, bro? I walk in, set you up, break it down. I'm out of here in 4 hours. I get $700. And mind you, you leave during the time they're in there. You go do whatever you're doing. I just come back at $700. It blew my mind. That's what made me just fall in love with making my money work for me so I don't have to work for it. I'm like, it's over with.
Do you think, and this is I have to be selfish for just 15 seconds because I'm going to ask this for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to ask questions as well for our listeners, but I'm going to be selfish for 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's say I set up like some baller. I'm talking about like ginormous video wall type of like crazy baller, ridiculous podcast setup. Yep. Like makes Grant Cardone's look like, you know, the slums. Like I spend like $100,000 just making it like pow, right?
Yep.
Do you think, and then I like say, hey, you know, you can come in and do your podcast. I feel like that sounds good in theory, but I just don't know if there's going to be enough people that would actually pay that to make that a real thing. That's like
they'll pay. Like you're about to interview with David Shands. He's opening a podcast studio with 7 different sections in the building.
Where does he live though?
He's in Atlanta with me.
Atlanta. Okay. See,
I don't know about St. Pete, but you know he's going to have a ton of people in there using podcasts.
That's my ego talking. Like, ooh, I'd like a big. You know, not that I can't afford it now. I can't. I'm like, do I spend $100,000 on a huge video wall, or do I put it in, you know, like crypto? And I'm like, crypto. You know, so I'm kind of like, but I feel like the right decision as an entrepreneur and not make it a hobby is do something very repeatable. Like people have babies all the time. Yep. People can't stop bumping uglies. So they're going to make babies and they need baby showers. Yep. I mean, that happens more than weddings, you know?
Yeah. For sure. It happened more than weddings. Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
So like, I feel like that's is there any other?
That's just one event, bro. I'm just telling you our main event, but book signings, seminars, people die, unfortunately, every day. You're having a repass a week, which are, is your space available in 48 hours? You had no other options, yes.
So what other type of events besides baby showers are like really like creme de la creme?
So repasses are another popular.
What's a repass?
That's when someone die and basically they need to use your venue to have like the ceremony. They also need to use the venue to have where they
like a wake.
I don't know if you call it a wake.
Don't they usually do that at funeral homes?
A lot of funeral homes don't have a space.
Oh.
So what they do when the funeral is done, what they do is it's called a repast, but it's like an after party. Like once the funeral is done, we go to the gravesite. We all come meet and eat. They all go do that at someone's event space.
Okay.
Right. So that's baby showers, book signing, seminars.
I feel stupid for not knowing what that is.
Graduation parties, bridal showers. Just it, bro. We love having events. People just event, especially after COVID when you got to come out again. Like people just don't want to be in the house.
So you could stick to one. So like if you have a baby shower, right? A lot of times not all the time, but a lot of times a wedding shower follows that.
Yep.
Gender reveal party.
Gender reveal. And peep this, after they had a baby shower, guess where they had a kid's first year old birthday party at?
Okay, so kids' birthday parties, baby showers, gender reveal parties, and
repasses, book signings, seminars, pop-up art shows.
But you could do all this in the same space?
Yeah, why? Because we make sure one of the requirements I teach my students is make sure it's an open space. So right here, we could come in here right now. We could set up a book signing. You could set up a baby shower in here for 20 people. You could set up a seminar for 20 people. You could set up a sipping shop.
I'll get a different space. I kind of like my. I don't want anybody in my studio.
Yeah. I'm using this for example. Is because it's an open space, blank canvas. You could do what you want.
Got you.
That's it.
Okay. This is good stuff, man. Like, see, I'm a serial entrepreneur, so for me, when I hear this stuff, like, you would think you'd be like, "Damn, what are you talking about? You're doing so well. Why would you want to do it?" But I'm like, "Oh my god," you know, I got to stay focused. Like I always tell people,
bro.
that.
There's still not, like I said, if you don't want an extra 10 to 20 grand a month, I think it's worth doing it.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I don't even want. I mean, I just want a piece. Personally, I just want a piece of real estate that's just
for the depreciation.
Yeah, depreciation without
worth it.
being worried about.
Yeah.
You know. So, but
And
that's
I think
cool, man.
all you need to do is hire one employee, a cousin, a niece, somebody who want to take ownership of something. You don't got to give them owner, but give them a little bit of percentage of everything that they get on top of, and you run it. They got to give them that sense of this is yours. I'm gonna give you 10%
I know a couple
extra.
people who would actually love to do this type of business. They would probably really, really love it. You know, but this is cool, man. This is cool. So I don't want to bang on that all day, but
We banged on it, bro.
Yeah, we did, man. That's like a whole.
I never even talk about that.
No, well, I think you know, I want to provide value, and I like
absolutely.
that. I ask questions to poke holes, you know, because I know that people think about it and they don't want to ask the questions.
Yeah.
So, but I'll leave a link where we can.
We'll get you a link for people.
Because I imagine you have like a.
Got a whole course and program for people.
Yeah, and then maybe you have a video or webinar or something that explains it a little bit more. See, yeah, cool. So we'll leave that in the description and all that.
Yep.
So let me ask you this, you know, what is what do you define as success, and what do you think is a misrepresentation of what most people define as success?
That's a good question. What do I define as success? I mean, most people define success as, I want to say, making money, man. Like when you don't make money, that is success. But for me, success now, I think success is different from success. My biggest thing of success for me is freedom, being able to do what you want, when you want, how you want. Hey, bro, I could do the podcast tomorrow. I'll be in Tampa. I don't have any restrictions.
Did you fly private here?
No, I flew commercial.
I was gonna try to get you.
I flew commercial. Actually, I got my mastermind in Puerto Rico. We flying private down there.
Yeah,
so
of course.
But success to me is being able to spend time with my family. Like my mamas don't have to work. My wife don't have to work. My kids are in a good space. So I think for me, success is defined as freedom and mobility. Shout out my brother Doug. That's what he says. And just being able to do what you want when you want. It's kind of cliche, but that's my definition. But I think success to most people is just trying to make this certain amount of money. And as you know, when you start making the money, you realize like you still got that empty void of like, what's next? Like I made the money. What can I do now? But it's like,
yeah, I will tell you that I think, you know, human beings are programmed from the very beginning of our existence to survive.
Yep.
You know, like it started out with, I need to kill the bear or the whatever, and I need to bring the food into the cave, and it evolved into I need to make money, I need to be financially free, I need passive income, yada, yada, yada. And I think what happens is, this is my take, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this. A lot of people argue over what success means. They argue over the definition. You know, if you say the definition is to be financially free, you'll have everybody and their brother coming out of the woodwork saying, no, that's not the definition. The definition is being at peace or whatever. Like they'll give you a conflicting definition because maybe money is not important to them, right? And that's fine. That's great. But what I think the definition of success is, it is an ever evolving personal definition, because when when I was young, all I cared about was being able to not have to work for someone else. I mean, I must have delivered thousands of pizzas to people who didn't treat me very well. I mean, some people did, but didn't appreciate me. Like I was paying my bills based on other people's generosity, because you don't make jack as a pizza delivery boy. You make it, you make it on tips.
Yep.
And so like what's
the highest tip you ever got?
There's this guy named Crazy Mike that you'd go to his place, and he had all these monkeys, and you'd go past the monkeys, and he would always answer the door completely naked with a bottle of like, you know, rum or whiskey in his hand. And he called him Crazy Mike. And he would give you like $100 tip, and then he'd give you crazy stuff. He'd give you like a bottle of alcohol or a bag of weed or something, you know, like, and $100 for like one little pizza. And we called him Crazy Mike. So that's probably the biggest tip I got. You know, and you get weird stuff as a pizza guy, man. Like I've been flashed. I've had people try to invite me in for weird stuff. I mean, I've had people give me food.
Right.
I've had people give me Bibles and
Right.
all kinds of stuff,
Right,
you know.
right.
And I'm like, I can't give a Bible to my mortgage, or not my mortgage. I didn't have a mortgage, but I can't give a Bible to the electric company.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, the point is that my definition of success until the point when I was like about 30 was become financially independent and take care of my family. And I did. I bought my mom a house. I bought my dad a house.
Yep.
I mean, I did, like, not only did I get the things that made me happy I'm not gonna say make me happy, but not only did I get financially secure for myself, where no matter what, I could go wherever I wanted, wherever I wanted, however I wanted. I had a nice place, nice cars, nice doctor for my son.
Yep.
All that. I just bought my mom a new dental procedure that for her mouth, like just any of that stuff taken care
good,
of.
don't it?
It does. Yeah. It feels great. Yeah. Buy my dad a house, buy my mom a house, all that stuff. But then once you've achieved that and you're like 30, 35, you're like, okay, I got the entire second half of my life to go.
Yep.
And unless you want to build the next Apple, the next Facebook, which I don't want to do, you start to, maybe your definition of success changes. Maybe it becomes a more personal journey. Maybe it becomes a more inner journey. Maybe you want to be more of a philanthropist. Maybe you want to impact more, but in a different way. So I think that when everybody says, what is the definition of success? I believe they're wrong in one definition. I believe that definition changes and that definition evolves as you go through life, and it's a very personal thing.
I agree.
But ultimately, it comes to being at peace.
Yeah.
If your life is in turmoil because you can't pay your bills or whatever,
stress,
it's a feeling of peace, and that can be financial and it can be personal. But at the end of the day, it's a feeling of peace.
I think the goal though for a lot is money until you get it. Like I just wanted money until I got it. I'm like, crap, I got it. What's next?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of where you at. I'm like, soon. I think I got a couple more years of going hard though, but then I want to see what's next.
Yeah, I'm just chilling now doing this podcast.
That's what I'm saying. You chilling. Yeah.
I've been doing, so you make
Crypto,
the money.
all that type
You make the money with the event space stuff, but then you started doing what I've been doing for years
Yeah.
and creating consulting and education business. You did very well with that. And that's my other company, GetClients.com. That's what we teach there. And, so that's my thing. That's my passion. I love teaching people how to educate. I love teaching people how to get clients for, their way to impact. And then for how to think, I love teaching people how to think at a different level and just bringing other great thinkers together to, expand people's minds so that they can achieve more. So my stuff's like kind of turning into a passion right now. But again, that's why I say the definition of success evolves, So let me ask you this. What is one challenge that like this whole road, right? Going from living in the hood, as you put it, all the way to having an 8-figure business making millions of dollars, Lamborghinis, jets, all this stuff, I mean, and I know, I don't want anybody to get it twisted. You have a very, very just incredible program for children, right? You have a charity, which do you want to just like in a minute expand on that?
Yeah, that's cool.
But you do give. You have as great and as pronounced as the jets and the cars are, so is your philanthropy.
Bro, it's funny you said I started with giving. When I started my first business 14 years ago, it was a fruit truck, bro. I was working my butt off 7 to 7, not including 7 to 7, sometimes earlier. And my mom was like, "Son, you making money." I was making $50 a day at best, $5-10 profit a day, if that. At best, you making money. We need to give back. I'm like, "What you mean?" She said, "We need to feed the homeless." We went and fed the homeless one Monday. I gave her $50 to go feed the homeless. I didn't go. Came back done. I'm like, "No way." I went next week. I'm like, wow. We really gave all these sandwiches and food out. I did that for the next 7 years of my life, or 7 to 8 every Monday. We probably missed 2-3 Mondays in 7 to 8 years. And we start adding all these other things to back to school events for kids, Christmas events for kids, cutting homeless people hair, like skiing for kids. Like I'm from the hood. Most inner city kids never been skiing. I take them skiing every year for the last right now, for the last 10, 12 years, I take a group of 100, 200 kids skiing, fully paid for.
That's cool,
and
man.
I've been doing those things for years. The only reason why I got on the Steve Harvey show and won the Hoodie Award, the Neighborhood Award, because I was up against other people who gave back. They looked at me as the one who gave back the most. So I built my brand really over these years. All of these interviews, everything I ever got, it was because of the giving back piece. Never really the entrepreneur piece. It just happened to, you're an entrepreneur too? But I've been giving back kind of forever because my mom ingrained that you need to give back. You need to make a difference. Last few years, I haven't had my foot on the gas with giving back publicly. Like, we're giving back every month to different charities, different things. But I'm about to get back to the world actually seeing it so they know I'm doing it. But
do you ever feel like, because like I do some stuff, but I never like try to mention it.
Yeah.
I get this weird feeling like as soon as I mention it, it devalues it because it makes your brand look good because you're charitable, and maybe more people will, like you or buy from you because you're charitable. And I sometimes feel like I don't mention the things that I do because I don't want it to taint it. I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah, so for me, the last couple of years, I stopped sharing things. I just get back to so much stuff. But lately, we kind of share. You share for two reasons, and maybe this could change your perspective. One, it inspires others to do it. No matter what we do, as you know, you always gonna have somebody who got an opinion, whether good. No matter what you do,
that's true.
There's always gonna be somebody who dislike it for whatever reason. There's always gonna be someone who like it. So when we're giving back, we sharing it with others because we want you to go do that. When we went and shut down a grocery store, spent $20,000-$30,000 on groceries as a group. We did that. We didn't even have a cameraman that day. A cameraman happened to come last minute, capture that, and went on CNN, went crazy. But guess what? The next week, the next month, we saw 20, 30 people do that. It was a ripple impact that a lot of people did. So I feel like when me giving back for the last 14 years, all these annual events in Philly, I watched 10 people start doing it, 20 start. I can't do the whole Philly. Meek Mill's about to give $500,000 worth of toys back to the community. I'm not the person who helped him do that, but he might have saw it somewhere, or he got the money and like, I need to do that. So his act is now going to get someone else to do it. Now I'm like, I need to go back to Philly this year to do it because I see Meek doing it. Yeah. I'm like,
you almost feel like it's like you could issue a challenge to other entrepreneurs, because we were gonna. I had this idea. We had this idea that we were gonna like rent out a movie theater for the new Spider-Man movie.
Yep, exactly.
And I was going to bring like the company and all this, but then see, you can't rent them out even close to the time they come out. They just won't let you because it's such a big movie, and it's so I knew that like virtually everyone at my company was going to go see it before then, and I was like, well, but then I got a message from somebody, and I normally, I get like so many messages, but I happened to see this one, and they were talking about, they have this organization, it's local, and it's where kids they're in foster care, but they're like in I don't know the details exactly. I got to reread the message, but basically they're like past a certain point of foster care where they're not with a family. They're like sort of taken care of, but they're not with an actual family. They're like in more of a group setting or something, and they just don't get a lot of opportunity to do anything normal, know? And so I thought about it, and I was like, well, how cool would it be if instead of me renting out the movie theater for, my company or for my friends, I rent it out
for them
and bring like, I don't know how many people a movie theater can hold. I imagine like 100, but bring them all to, all to see the Spider-Man movie because they're not gonna get an opportunity to see that anyway.
When it come out, it's about to come out.
So they want to do it in January. So it's good about to come out. So it gives time to cool down because they won't even rent the movie theater out until But like bringing them all in there and filling the whole theater up, I just thought that would be cool to allow them to achieve or to experience some sense of normal. Like you should not be a kid 10, 11, 12 years old and not be able to go see freaking Spider-Man. I mean, what kind of like, you know what I mean? Like no, that's 100%. Just, I mean, I get that. And don't get me wrong. Like, we did some stuff over in Africa where like there's water wells and dude, do you know for like $3,000 you can
do a well. I'm doing one in February.
Yeah, we put my son's name on it. Like you can literally bring like 5,000 people water for like $2 or $3,000. It's insane. And so I understand that there's ways to give back for a more practical like water, food. But there's kids even still who have that, they're in systems and they have that, but they don't get to experience something that we might take for granted. Like when's the last time you didn't go see the new Marvel movie? When's the last time you didn't go see the new whatever movie?
We take a lot for granted.
Yeah, we do.
Bro, I get up and I just be like, thank God. Like, cause walking, bro, talking, like these things is, we already millionaires even if you don't have the money, if you wake up with your health, like your strength. Like I'll be trying to be whatever that word is. I'll be trying
Cognizant?
to be
it's hard for me to say
some
too.
words I can't say, and that's one of the ones I struggle. But I just be trying to be mindful of how blessed we really are outside of, money.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's you don't think about it. And you also don't think about what's something to you which could be a normal dinner that you might go to could be something so impactful to somebody else. Like could just be insanely. It's almost like, people who are struggling, but they smoke cigarettes, they don't realize that if they stop smoking cigarettes at $10 a day, they could pay for this other thing that they really need and that they really would change their life. They don't think about that.
$300 a month.
$300 a month,
$600 a year.
Yeah.
That's a course that can change your life.
Plus all the saved money and health issues and all that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is like we take for granted what is this big to us, but could be this big to someone else. And I don't, me personally, I think that it's important to always strive to get better at that and be more aware of that. And so I understand your point is I guess for me, the thought of sharing devalues it and taints it because I want to feel comfortable with the fact that I'm doing it for the right reasons, but now I'm putting my comfort over the actual end result, which would be, even if I just inspired, or any of us inspired one person to do something similar, at the end of the day, more people would get helped. So
if
I'm glad you put that in perspective
other
for me.
marketers might be like, wow, I saw Dan do that. I got to do that for my community.
Yeah, that's it.
Bro, glad. You just said, while you talked about the movie thing, I'm literally like, I need to do that. In my mind, I was sitting here doing numbers like, what theater can I? Should I do this in Philly or should I do it in the? But I wouldn't have thought to do that if you just didn't say that in that very
that's
moment.
a great point. That's why I love having these conversations.
Say, Dan, why would you do? No matter what we do, somebody gonna say something.
Oh yeah.
So now I don't care. I'm gonna go do what I gotta do.
I know, I like that. That's that's why I like to have these conversations.
How to think.
People how to think, man. That's a good one. So let me ask you this: what's one challenge as an entrepreneur, a successful 8-figure entrepreneur that you are? What's one challenge that you experienced that you did not expect when you started?
One challenge I experienced that I did not. One of the challenges that I'm experiencing now is just investing the money that you make. Like you accumulating it. Now I got to find a better way to grow it. Like I got to grow it faster, right? So that's the challenge that I never thought I would have the problem of. Once you make the money, how do you make more of it? Or not more of it, but one of my goals is how do I get passive income to equal active income? So that's something, Myron talks about, like how do we make our passive equal our active? So I don't know if that's a challenge, but I'm just trying to find a way to just keep getting better. I don't want to have to go out to work if I don't want to. I want to know that enough passive income is coming in that a substantial amount is coming in to make sure I'm good forever.
Can I give you my sort of take
absolutely.
on that?
Yeah.
So I have this buddy, Eric. I had him on the show, 𝐸ric, right?
Yeah.
And
I know Eric.
You know Eric, do you? Yeah, he was.
No, we was at an event together or something. Was he in a circle or something?
Dude, we're all in, whatever. We're all in all the things. But he owns a company that, and I've been to his factory here. He owns a company that does customized jewelry, and they're going to do like $100 million this year, or they did like $66 million. They're going to do $100 million next year. The company's worth like hundreds of millions of dollars, right? But he doesn't take, like for me, like I'm in a different field. I'm in consulting. So like my company, I could probably never sell it for hundreds of millions of dollars or even close to that because it's a personal brand.
Yeah.
But every month, the insane amount of cash flow I get is just disgusting, right?
Yep.
So with him, he takes a much more modest salary.
Yep.
He lives a much more modest life, not by choice, just because, well, by choice, but just because he just doesn't, it doesn't pay to build up a manufacturing kind of like in the short term. But when he sells that company, if he ever does, he's gonna make me look like a pauper. Like he's gonna be like,
he's out of here.
He's out of here, you know. And he's such a great guy because like we were talking about this the other night. I had him over, we were watching the fights, and he was just like, "Yeah, I wonder what my next thing I'm gonna build is." I'm like, "Bro, I'd be gone. Like, what are you talking about? $200 million, $300 million, $100 million, $50 million, $20 million.
I'm out of here.
You know, I'm not saying that's what he would make, but I'm guessing. You know, I'm guessing that if he sold a company like that, or if anybody sold a company like that, they'd probably make hundreds of millions of dollars. In my opinion, you know, I've never asked him, but my point is that, you know, he's doing what I consider to be extremely noble, and I know a lot of people that have companies like him. It's delayed gratification, you know, and when he when he cashes out, if he ever does, or anybody that has a company like that, they're going to make a lot more than people like me. But I have a different approach. So here's my approach, and because we're in similar spaces, right? We're personal brands. We sell high-end, you know, consulting, and we sell education and stuff like that. And you know, here's my view on that. And this has always been my thing. Because I have a high cash flow business, right? And again, this is why this is why we teach people to do this at GetClients.com, is because I like to teach people how to make that, because not many people are willing to spend 3, 4, 5 years grinding it out to then get a 20, 30, $50 million. Like, they need help now, you know? So that's one of the reasons why my heart is close to that. But anyway, we make a ton of cash flow every month from selling consulting, from selling, you know, education and coaching and all that. And I take that money and I invest it immediately. Right? So, I mean, there was a point where every month I was loading up 6 figures a month into investments. So to me, I'd like to think I'm doing the same thing, but in a different way. Because imagine for a moment, like I got into crypto back when it was like 18 grand. Ether was like $350. So imagine for a moment, I get it. You don't have a company that you can really sell for a crazy multiple, but imagine you have a company that makes you a ton of money in the short term. You take most of that money, because if you make 100 grand a month in let's just say you make 100 grand a month in actual profit. You gonna spend 100 grand a month? What are you gonna do with that?
Exactly.
You know, you gonna leave it in the bank? Every day the dollar goes down in value.
Don't remind me.
Okay, so imagine if you took that money and instead you just kept dollar cost averaging, tucking it into something like crypto, right? Now, I'm not giving investment advice here, but then in a year or 2 years or 3 years, where that money would be extremely devalued because of inflation and just the printing of the dollar, now that's even 2, 3, 4, 5, 6x more than you had. You know, now you start building this crazy investment portfolio, or even if it was real estate, whatever, you know, that's been my approach, because I just personally, for me, I'm not that type of person that's going to delay gratification, not because I need gratification now, but because I just don't like the stress of owning a big machine that you could work 4, 5, 6 years at, and then let's just say something happens and all of a sudden your multi-million-dollar exit that you had planned because of anything, you know, regulation, pandemics, whatever, all of a sudden, boom, it's gone. You know, that's what I think about.
One of the things that helped change my mindset was 2 things. One of my man Rashad said, "Yo, one of the things is getting the money, but the other thing that most people don't do is invest the money." And you and I were at Eddie V's one time. And when you said, "Yo, bro," you like, "Yo, I got X amount to my name."
Keep it to X.
I wouldn't.
Oh, I remember what I told you.
But I'm saying it was a number that I'm like, yo, this dude's making so much money. What do he mean? But it's basically you like, yo, I invest all of my money. And at that time, I'm loading money in the bank. And I'm like, this dude is
So to put it in perspective, because I'll share this. So we were sitting there talking because we were at a mastermind for speaking.
Yeah.
And we were talking, like, I was getting an award for $1 Million a Day when I did a speaking event and I made $1 million in a day. So, like, the context of the conversation. And I think you asked, like, how much, you just randomly asked me, like, how much money do you keep in the bank?
Yeah.
And I was like, 60 grand.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I was like, yo.
Yeah.
I'm like, that messed me up, though. I'm like, I'm storing all of this money. Let me context y'all. I'm storing some money in the bank, whatever the number is.
Yeah, whatever it is, yeah.
But what? I'm not investing enough of my money. That's why I told you, should I do this shit? Like, I'm trying to invest all of the money now. I don't want nothing in the savings.
Just keep in mind, though, you know, from one entrepreneur, another investor, that at the end of the day, I don't invest all of it, okay? And I diversify like crazy.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that, you know, for me, you have to accept risk, right? Because there's a ton of risk with any investment. I've lost $1 million in an investment, but I've also made a lot more than that.
Wow.
You know,
lost in one investment?
Two.
Wow.
701 and 300 in another.
Wow.
But
tell me what that was later, so I don't do it.
It was just a deal where there was some back alley BS, and it was like a very unique, rare situation. And then the other one, I had hired some options traders, professional option traders, and they just did a bad job. And you know, and so I found my stride in crypto and in certain ways of investing. And I follow a lot of guys, like I follow Alex Becker and guys like that. And I also have a macro view on it. Like, I know, dude, I mean, people talk about NFTs, right? And most people, when they talk about NFTs, they miss the point. They think it's pictures. Has nothing to do with pictures. Has nothing. People are saying stuff like, well, I could just right click and save the picture. Like, you say that, you have zero idea what NFTs are. You don't even know. Like, the thing is, NFTs eventually will be the thing that allows you to go to a baseball game, that allows you to go to an event, that allows you to have access to, imagine there was one thing that would allow you access to anything in life. That's where NFTs are going. It's all in the blockchain. You know what I mean? Because there's too much room for error in other ways of doing things. Like, the blockchain doesn't lie. If you own the contract, if it's in your wallet, if it's on your whatever, that's it. There's no customer error. There's no, argument over that. It is what it is. And that's what's great about it. And so that's where the world's going to go. And so I know that. And I also know that, like, there's certain coins and like, yeah, you can gamble your money on like small cap coins and like gaming crypto, and you'll probably win, you know, but there's other safe investments that, you know, that those, like Ethereum, dude, like, there's no way that in a year or 2 years, Ethereum's not going to be higher than it is now. I mean, maybe, but just researching everything and knowing where the world is going, especially after the pandemic, and how markets react to things like just what's happening in the world, it all points. And then the whole metaverse thing. I mean, dude, even if the metaverse wasn't going to be a thing, the fact that Facebook said, hey, we're throwing our hat in, now it's going to be a thing no matter what.
Facts.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where, yes, there's risk, but to me, I almost think it's far riskier investing in a company than it is investing in some of this stuff. So the other thing, my view on it is that never invest money that if you
can't afford to lose.
Right. But more importantly, that's why I combine a cash flow positive business with investments, because right now, if I lost every investment I had, I wait 1 month and I'm still richer than 99% of the people on the planet. You know? Like, that's the, and I'm not saying that from like a bragging way. I'm just saying, like, anybody, like, even if you just had a really profitable, I don't know, ice cream shop or restaurant, and maybe you had a chain, whatever the business is, if you're financially stable, the rule is this: only invest most of your money, because that's what you said to me. You said you invest most of your money. Here's my equation for that. Only invest most of your money if you have a cash flow business that is so good that you only have to wait 1 month to be good again. That's the equation.
Yeah, that's good.
If that's
I like that.
if that's not true, don't invest the lion's share of your money. That's it.
That's good.
You can't lose doing that.
I agree. And it's funny, when I'm in Becker's mastermind, and he was just like, yo, what do you just give up your cash flow business? No, you keep that to build your software, but You keep that thing, that machine working while you're building that other thing.
Yeah, and it's a safety net. Because if you make a dumb move
Yep.
and you lose a bunch of money or the markets go to crap,
You get it back.
you get it. But you just, I mean, from a basic survival standpoint, you're good with 1 or 2 months on your business, you know. But dude, it's so hard to lose everything with investments if you diversify. Yeah. You know, you got some crypto. I mean, you could just invest in crypto and have so much diversity inside of that world.
Sure. Yeah.
There's a ton, but crypto, real estate,
Stocks.
You know, yeah.
You like stocks or no?
I used to, man. I know. One thing I'll say is it's good to primarily invest in things that you know. I just know crypto a lot better than I know stocks. Like, you start talking about all these things with stocks, and I know a little bit, but you start talking about it with crypto, and I know it better, and I'm more comfortable with it because I'm more in the. I'm not sitting there in stock trading forums all day long talking about this stuff, but I am in Discords and things like that. So it's just more what you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I past that ramble. Let me ask you, what's a piece of advice, a harsh, no holds barred, not holding back, zero empathy, real raw piece of advice you would give to a young entrepreneur or anybody trying to be successful that's trying to make it? What would that advice be?
Commit first, figure out the rest later. Start and stay started. I'm tired of so many entrepreneurs just always got all these excuses of why it won't work. Make it work. Like, I don't have an option. I don't have a retreat button. I'm mentally unemployable. When I set my mind on the target, I'm going to do whatever it takes to go get it. And once they adopt that, start working like you're going to die tomorrow. And when you act as if you don't got a lot of time, you start moving at a different rate. If just say we're in December, right? When we're filming this, I'm not sure when it's airing, but just say if your time is up on 12/31, you're going to be moving differently. You're about to spend time with your family. You're about to set up businesses. You're about to just work on leaving some sort of legacy. You got to act like every single day, like tomorrow's your end. And I believe if entrepreneurs took that mindset every single day, they're going to be maxing out and doing whatever they got to take to become successful.
What do you think the biggest excuse that people make about not being able to be successful? What do you think the biggest excuse is when people aren't successful, and what would you tell them?
I mean, most of the biggest excuses, people don't believe in me. That's the biggest one. I think people's environment and their belief system. You got to beef up your belief system and your environment. You got to put yourself in an environment of people or books or course, something that can change your viewpoint. And you just got to believe in yourself. Like, I got superior belief in myself that I'm going to make it work. I don't know the level that I'm going to make it work, but I know I'm going to be successful because I'm not giving myself an option. I tell people all the time, most people are like actors. They move to LA and they be like, yo, I'm about to pursue acting, but if it don't work, the moment that you say, but if it don't work, you telling yourself you don't even believe in yourself. So you got to find a way to adopt superior belief in yourself and don't retreat till you hit the target. Burn the ships.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can I ask you a touchy question?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So you obviously have a large, because I've seen your following, I've seen your Instagram. Yep. You have a large following in the Black community.
Yep.
I mean, that's where you know, like you said earlier, you came from fatherless home, like that whole thing. So let me ask you this, and I'm not going to weigh in on this. I just want to hear your answer. Yeah. When you hear, because I've been at seminars, I've been at masterminds, and I've heard this a lot, and I don't know how to feel about it. So I'm asking you, when a up and coming entrepreneur in the Black community says, how would you give me that advice differently? Like, how would you give that same advice that you just gave to all of us? How would you give that differently to people of color? How do you react to that, and how do you feel about that?
Is a Black person asking me that question? Or?
Yeah, so like, let's say you're in a room, right? And because this happened, I was at a mastermind. I was at Myron's mastermind, and he's teaching the whole group. You know, we got all different types of people in there: Black, white, Spanish, Indian, everybody, right? And a woman raised her hand, a Black woman, and said, and he just got done teaching this whole thing and talking about mindset and this whole motivational thing, right? Yeah. And she said, hey, that's great, but how would you restate that, and how would you adjust that advice for people of color?
Right. So, I mean, I think me being in that mastermind, I think what Myron says, it is.
Well, I just mean in any situation.
Yeah, I think.
Because I hear that a lot, not just there. I hear that same question everywhere.
So I'm trying to articulate an answer for it, because sometimes I don't look that deep, and I feel like a lot of the principles that people say are universal. You just gotta adjust them to who you're talking to.
Do you think the advice would change?
Yeah, it would change depending on what if it's talking to a young urban kid in the hood about making the right decisions, being successful, and their survival is they gotta rob and kill, gotta rob and gotta do certain things. You're gonna talk to them different than if your upbringing was you never knew about crime.
Sure.
So I think in the personal development situation, I feel like that is for everybody. But when you're asking specific questions that may have to deal with our culture, I feel like you may have to ask it differently.
Yeah, of course. I'm more talking about like if somebody says something like, okay, this was at a separate. I think this was at an online summit I heard, and I don't really have an opinion on this. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
They said if anybody has ever done it, you can do it too. Meaning, like, if you want to build a business in XYZ, if you want to become a best-selling author, like, you may think that you can't do it, but if anybody has ever done it, that means it's possible, and that means you can do it too. And somebody said, well, would you say how would you rephrase that for people of color?
No, I think that's the same. You said it the right way. I think we're all equals to me. I don't care what color your skin is. None of that matters to me. We're all. So I think how that was said, I think that it's fine. It's just, it takes it back to belief. If you can do it, I can do it. It doesn't matter. We all are the same people.
But do you think that, like, just being real here, you go back 100 years, I don't think you'd give that same answer. Because, like, you can't.
Yeah, we were at a different disadvantage 100 years ago, too. So 100 years ago is slightly different from today. I'm just a guy where I'm at now, where there's no excuses. We got to find a way to make it work. Do
you think that's important to relay? Like, do you think that's, because every community, I think, has different challenges, Like, I recall back when 9/11 happened, dude, like, I had friends that were from the Middle East, and all of a sudden everybody hated them.
Right.
Like, and it was just like a whole different world for them. Like, they woke up to a different attitude, And so I think, these things happen where you just can't control culture and just how people react. You can only control how you react, how you deal with it,
Yep.
But would you because I think a lot of people are listening to this who's just, various cultures and whatnot. But do you have any specific advice that you would say is paramount for your community? Because I can't possibly know what it's like to be in any community other than mine.
Right.
Any community,
Facts.
I can give generalities, but I don't know what that's like. So do you have like a specific, because where you came from, where you came from.
Yeah.
Do you have anything specific that you would tell somebody that was in your exact position? They're in the slums.
Yeah.
There's a prostitute outside of their house selling drugs. Like, they're trying to recruit you into a gang. Like, that's pretty rough situation.
Yeah,
like,
I'm
specific advice.
I'm going to tell whoever that is, hey, stay strong. Like, understand that your current situation, not your final destination. Whatever goal it is that you want, whether you want to be a businessman, you want to be an athlete, whatever it is that you can get it done, but you got to stay focused. You can't let distractions in. You got to find a way to get in a better environment. Even most people can't just leave their home and be in a better home, right? Or in a better school, but find some sort of person or someone who went before you and did it and find out how they did it. So my answer will remain the same there, is just find the way. You got to find a way. We are people who find a way. Like you got to, the biggest thing though is for me, I don't think I would be here today if I didn't go to that school and if I didn't see them private jets. I personally don't believe, because you got to see it. So most of them don't even know, most of us don't even know other things exist outside of our environment. So if I could do anything, I'm always trying to, like my mentee Trey made millions of dollars. He's just on Shark Tank. He's 15. Wow. When I'm talking to people, parents or kids, yo, go look at this kid. Go look at CEO Trey on Instagram, because I know if they see him 15 just on Shark Tank, made $3 million in his business, did all of these things, they now got I can do it. Yeah. So I try to tell people, find an example fast. And when you find one, stick with that, because now it shows you can do it. I believe I could be a billionaire because there's other billionaires.
You have to see it.
You have to
taste
it.
it.
I believe you have to. That is the number one thing for me.
That's what happened to me when I was at that family's house. Like I never been to it. Like I tasted it, and when you taste it, man, you got to have more.
You can't go back.
But at the same time, look, I'm not saying, dude. When I delivered pizza, right? I was in a bad situation. Like I could barely pay my rent, blah, blah, blah. But like I had a place. I had a job. I could wake up every day and to some degree have cash in my pocket by just driving around. I had a lot compared to a lot of people. Yeah. I can never know what it's like to grow up where, like they're like, hey, you're living in the worst possible situation you could possibly live in. Yeah. And if you just do this thing that you're not supposed to do that could put you in prison, you'll make a little bit of money. And having that temptation, I have no idea,
bro. It's tough.
What that's like.
I mean, honestly, I didn't have it so bad to that point where I can't give all the advice because I haven't been there. But I know, there's people who had to rob to eat and they made it out. But thank God. So some things, even me, black or not, I can't speak to certain things because I was never poor. My mom made sure I ate. I never didn't go out without a meal. I didn't have to bathe in cold water. Like several of us are up against. Yeah, we're up against.
There's so many levels of rich and there's so many levels of poor. Yeah, like I thought I was poor, but then you describe your situation, but then you just described a situation even worse.
No, it gets worse. And I really can't speak to that because I don't really speak to things that I haven't really went through.
Right.
Like I could show you how to make $1 million online, 2 million, because I've done it, right, multiple times. You could show. But I can't really speak to some of the situations educated enough because I didn't go through it. I went through a level of, I was never poor. I was never messed up. I just went through some stuff. I didn't have a father. Certain things.
But you had a place to live.
Oh, yeah, I was good. But some kids don't have.
May not be a nice place to live, but it was a place to live. And most people don't have. A lot of people don't have that.
It was nice based on what I knew then. You get me? So if you live in the hood in a row home where it's not, New York have row homes, brownstone. But I'm saying if that's all you know is it's normal. So we got to find a way to create new normals. Everybody needs to do that. Everybody. What is your new normal? My new normal is traveling. My new normal is spending time with my family. But the biggest thing is going in the community and showing people that it exists.
How did it feel to propose to your wife on the freaking Steve Harvey show?
It was dope, bro. She was so surprised, man.
This was on the Steve Harvey show?
Yeah, she was so surprised and happy, bro. It was dope. But that came from me giving back to the community. I asked my friend, can she get me on there? She said, yep. And she plugged that right up, bro. And I met her. She said she found me online from giving back. So she said, you never know. Shout out Patrice Washington. You never know who got the power to bless you. And she put me right on there. I'm like, wow.
It's funny. I saw that in your bio, and I love Steve Harvey. Love Steve Harvey.
He's the man.
I always had this, because I don't think he does the Steve Harvey show anymore. He only does radio. Yep. I always had this dream of being on the Steve Harvey show. I don't know why specifically that show.
It's not too late. He got other shows.
Yeah, I know.
Steve Watch and different things.
But when I saw that you were on it, and then you got to propose to your wife, I was just like, that must be the coolest
it was dope.
feeling ever.
Yeah, it was cool.
And then, dude, we always what's funny is we always talk about stuff about you getting on jets and all this stuff, and because I don't even do that, but I don't like to fly, so it's not. But you always talking about your wife.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
always like have pictures of your wife getting on the plane,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like just I don't know her background.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
where she
I
came
met her
from.
at my last job. She made more money than me when I met her.
Really?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
was her job?
She was customer service
At
the private airport.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So still didn't come from like a wealthy
Oh, she
background.
came from worse than me. I mean,
So let me ask you
raised
this.
herself. You know, like her situation was, dude, she was with beating on her like all the time. Like she came from way worse, like a different level of worse than me.
Can you we're almost out of time, but can you just answer this question for me?
Yeah.
So your wife, she came from, even worse poverty than you did.
Yeah.
And I want to know what it was like, the look on her face, and how it made you feel the first time you were able to take her on a private jet.
Bro, it made me feel good because I want to say, I don't know if this is accurate, but she was still working at that job. So we went to the airport while she was off that day, but I was able to take her to the job that fired me. And shout out to my mentor, Mark. He put me on my first private jet. He let me drive my dream car then, which was a Bentley, from his office out to the private jet. We just got on, and it was surreal. It was like that moment that I've been waiting for 9 years finally came true. But again, Myron says the quicker you get to your dream life, the longer you get to enjoy it. Once I touched that jet, I've been on 50 of them. It's like, you got to find a way to get expose yourself as quickly as you can, because once you get there, it's going to just.
I just really wanted to ask that question.
Yeah, it felt
what,
good though, bro.
what was the reaction of your wife when you took her?
She was smiling ear to ear. I got the video and everything. It was crazy, bro. It was a good time.
Dude, that's incredible.
It was sick, bro.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So where can people check you out more and go follow you?
So you guys can check me out Instagram at NeoDaviso, NeoDaviso. That is my main place that I hang out on. You also can just check me out. We got greatnessmastermind.com. That's if you want to learn from me at a higher level. We're able to help you grow and scale your digital marketing business. And that's pretty much it. Follow me on the line, and we'd love to be able to add value and help you in any way that I can. Shoot me a DM.
Cool.
It's
Awesome.
right, Dan Henry.
I got to put you on the spot.
Yep.
So for our How to Think users or our
Yep.
How to Think members,
Yep.
They get the daily success mentoring when they're a
Yep.
member.
Mm-hmm.
They get the business mentoring, but we also have some courses, some audio courses on
Yep.
our app that they can go through.
Absolutely.
And I would love, if you have time,
Yep.
just a mini course or something. I would love to get you to come on and maybe submit just a simple audio course on your event stuff or
Yep.
or whatever you want to cover,
I got
so
you.
that our users can take that course. That would be
more. Is audio or video?
all audio. I keep
yeah.
it super simple.
Oh, that's dope. Audio course.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. It's just
Cool.
that it's so. For anybody listening, if you loved what Neo had to say and you'd like to learn, you can go to howtothink.com, sign up as a member, and I think we're going to be getting an audio course from him on
you
that.
will 100%. I got you.
Yeah. All right, man.
Yeah.
That's incredible,
Let's
dude.
get it,
Thank
bro.
you so much for coming
Thank you
on.
for
This was
having me on.
fantastic.
It was pretty dope, bro.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
maybe we'll do it again next time you're in town.
Let's
or
get
we
it.
might get like some couple people and do like a round table.
That would be
That would be
fire.
sweet. So, all right, awesome, man.